I'm Mark Bell. We're here today at Slingshot World Headquarters. I'm here with my boy, Bart Kwan. Bart has negotiated a lot of different businesses, and we're going to learn how he came up in business and some of the different businesses that you have. So kind of first things first is, how'd you get started in business?
So I never knew that I was even going to get into business at all. I was going to go like the pre-med route. That's where I got my bachelor's in psychobiology. And I was studying for the MCAT and all that. But meanwhile, in the summer that I transferred from a JC to my university, me and my partner Joe, we started sending just stupid, funny videos on YouTube to each other, not knowing that it was for the public. We thought it was like Photo Bucket, where you upload something and you send your friend the link and they can see it. So he sent me a funny video. I sent him one in return, and we started getting this fan base. Like people I'll be like 800 views. That's crazy. I only know like 10 people. And so we decided to team up and shoot this funny content. And once I started to realize that I had so much more enjoyment doing this thing versus studying or even envisioning my life going to med school, I really wanted to figure out a way to make this what I wanted to do. And of course, the first thing that comes to mind is, well, how do you make a living? Because right now I have financial aid, I have my parents that can help me. Once I'm done with school, all that's gone. I need to make laughter and views somehow pay the bills.
Right.
So we got our first AdSense check, and it was, I think, $1,000 for 6 months worth of videos. We're like, okay, this isn't gonna work. There's no way we can, this will sustain anything. So we actually had to pull part-time jobs. Because I was a science major, I ended up tutoring math and science. My buddy worked in a warehouse, and so we did it part-time. And as the channel and audience grew, we were able to spend less time at our job and spend more time on the content, which in turn helped it grow exponentially. And then from there, when we started to have to manage the finances of the money coming in from ad revenue to us having to bring on people for our own pay and their pay and salaries and then production costs, we were like, oh shit, without even knowing it, we became business owners, And that was our first taste of it, and we're like, this is crazy. And I think from that point on, once you really understand how a business works from inside and out and how things affect each other, it's actually not too difficult doing the second and third and fourth business. But going from zero to the first business, it's definitely the biggest learning curve.
So that answers the next question then, how do you have multiple businesses? It's easier once you already put it in some reps, you've already put in some sets, just like with lifting. You can kind of, bro science some of this, right?
Yeah.
I've heard you mention that several times now today through the podcast and through some other content that we created. How have you been able to kind of, use fitness and bro science your businesses?
So bro science, parts that I like about it is you have a goal that you want to achieve, whether you want to look like Stanley Ferdinand or something, and then you go, okay, I'm pretty much missing everything.
Right.
So you take everything and you figure out what's the best way to achieve it through 4-day training split if you have 4 days, 5 or 6 or 7 days, and you map it out. And some days need more attention than others. And with business, it's very similar where, when me and Joe first started doing our whole comedy stuff, we're both comedians and we're both writers. That means we need someone shooting the videos, someone editing it, and then once our skits became a little bit more production heavy, we needed a producer, and Gio was really good at scheduling and organizing and bringing resources together, so we started bringing our team together. So it's very similar where you kind of see where you're at, and you have to take a big, honest look in the mirror and see what you're missing and see what you're trying to get at. So if you're trying to go from Bart Kwan to Stan Efferdine, there's probably a lot that's missing. And you have to be realistic with how you approach it, and you just slowly lay down that foundation, and you hire the right people, or you get the right space, and you slowly build towards being the standard for of whatever business goal you want.
How do you get the money to do that? That's probably a block for people is I would love to do A, B, or C, but how do I just figure out? You did mention tutoring and kind of having whatever kind of jobs that you needed to kind of start. But once you started JK, how were you able to have money to start Barbell Brigade? Because starting a gym can be, I'm sure you were making good money, but starting a gym can be really expensive.
Yeah, all that stuff it's really tough. It's the ideal scenario if you have some crazy investor that can come in, or if your parents are that investor and they can just give you $1 million or whatever. Going from part-time working to even JK, we knew that once we were to go JK, me and my partner Joe, we were only going to be able to pay each other $1,000 each. So even before making the move of being full-time, when I was tutoring, he was working at the warehouse, we were just saving like crazy, and we were pretty much saving like half the amount that we were making. So kind of understanding this budgeting process was really, really important. And then once we got to the point where we could do JK full-time, now also building the $1,000 a month into $2,000, $3,000, and now figuring out another way to save half of it so that you can accumulate a budget to do the future projects like building the gym or apparel. And even like for you guys, like the only reason why you can go from one HQ to another much bigger one is because you allowed yourself to create the budget for it, you know? If you're always maxing out the revenue, if your expenses are always matching the revenue that you're bringing in, you're never gonna be able to grow and expand. So being able to see that additional profit or revenue or the money that you save as more of an opportunity to grow bigger rather than a pot of gold that you want to spend on some cool stuff really helps out, because now you're seeing it as like more tokens in an arcade game rather than this is going to buy me like a bunch of fancy dinners right now.
So you saved about half of your earnings for a long time.
Yeah, for a long time. Even until now, that's just something that I'm just sticking to, and it actually makes me feel safe. Like I know, oh, okay, I could actually afford a mortgage twice this amount, or I could afford a card payment twice this amount. Then when I'm making decisions, it never becomes this giant thing that me and my wife have to really discuss and like, you know, pull money from here or pull money from there. Like everything that we're doing just feels light and easy. And going back to like the bro science, it's like if your max is like 365, 185 is going to be cake.
Yep.
So yeah, throw 185 on the bar. Let's take it for a spin, you know?
Yeah, I've seen you, literally seen you scale everything. You know, I've personally seen it firsthand. What did some of the maybe behind the scenes stuff look like that people maybe didn't know about? Like maybe, you know, how you were living. Like I think people, they just want to, sometimes people are so excited, they just want to like live large before they're really ready for it. How were you living? Like, do you feel you were living appropriately, or were you living beyond your means?
So in JK, if you guys ever watch Social Network, our JK HQ in the beginning was like that. We had a 2-bedroom house. Our entire living room was just desks with computers, shelves selling our merchandise. And it did take a toll on the relationship because we didn't really have a living room to enjoy.
Yeah.
It's just the minute we walk out of our bedroom, it's just work. And it's all JK work. And if I caught the flu, I actually felt guilty because I'll be in the room and I can hear everyone working, typing on the keyboard, and I'm just like one room over and I'm like, oh, I'm so lazy even though I'm sick, you know? So like but that teaches you how to grind, how to push, and kind of understand what you think some of your luxuries are. And once you start realizing like what's a necessity, what's a luxury, and you can start pushing yourself a little bit more, then when we got our first commercial space, we were so like grateful to have it, you know? We're like, finally we get to separate like work from home. Like that's actually a luxury to be able to do that. And I think understanding that things that are luxuries and they're not being entitled to certain things really helps you put things in perspective.
When you made the jump to get some of those things, do you feel like at the time, did you feel like you were in a really good position to do so? Or did it feel like a little bit of a stretch, like getting Barbell Brigade and things like that?
It did feel like a stretch. I think every single time you take like a big amount of money and you throw into something, yeah, it almost feels like gambling sometimes, you know? You're like, I'm not ready for this. Yeah, even though I think I'm ready for this, I'm not ready for this. Yeah, when our first JK space, we were working out of our room, the whole company made $6,000 a month. The whole company did. So that fed me, Gio, Joe, like our 2 other editors, and yeah, that was $6,000. And then when we needed to get our first commercial space because we're just like maxed out, the space that we got was like 1,000 square feet, maybe 1,500 square feet. No, it's $1,500. So it's a quarter of the whole thing. And we're like, oh shit. And then they want us to sign like this 2-year lease. It was just, you know, crazy. But we knew that at some point, in order to grow, you kind of have to, you know, play with some risk. And we took that, and that allowed us to hire more people, to have more space, be more in a creative place. And from then, it just started taking off. So to start, it sounds like you put a lot of responsibility on yourself, which I know you still do today, but I think sometimes people are like, I don't have this, I don't have that, I can't get started, I don't have enough cameras, I don't have enough. But you filmed a lot of stuff yourself. I think you still edit your own vlogs here and there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so what's your perspective on that? Like sometimes you just got to lift the shit yourself. You got to move things yourself, right?
Yeah, one of the favorite phrases I think I ever heard was, it's an entrepreneur's job to be resourceful. So it's not so much to get more money, or you don't have to be the most creative, you don't have to be the most confident, but you have to be the more resourceful. And so when we first started even filming our YouTube stuff, we didn't even have a tripod, and we were in my college apartment. So we took our 3 megapixel camera, and every time we filmed, we're duct taping it to our lamp. So if you'll notice all our old JK stuff, everything is kind of tilted to the side because it had the little loop where you put the lanyard in. That's what was getting like duct taped to the lamp. So everything had a slight slant to it, but you just have to be resourceful, and we couldn't even afford a tripod at the time.
Awesome. I think there's a lot that you guys could get from this video. This guy is an idol of mine and an icon in our space. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later.